Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's your Rodfather 916. It is cold tonight here in Sacramento. So it's going to be in the high 30s to the low 40s, and that's cold for us here. And so I have my wool jacket. Unless I'm going to a cold environment, I only wear this coat, which I've had probably half a dozen years, or maybe even longer, in January and February. So I may sleep in it. Who knows? But I want to talk about relationships. Ralph, I think they always talk about relationships. Yes, I do. Moving on. Two of the worst things you can do to relationships. One, because we get lonely or we want some people, someone in our life or someone that's special to us, that we give the farm. We tell them. So one of those things we do, maybe because we're lonely or we just want somebody special in our life, is that we give away the farm. I probably said that twice now. Slap me later. Baby, I think we should be together. We should get a bank account together. I'll put you on my credit card and sign you on a lease, and you won't have to want for anything. Anything you want, I'm gonna make it happen. Cause I already have love for you. Pause. We do that, men and women, sometimes out of loneliness. The problem with that is once you make those promises, it's hard to change their expectations. I've known men who've repeatedly, out of loneliness, gave everything up. Everything. Bought her everything she wanted. Didn't even know her. But we do that often after sex. You're laying up in bed, all this euphoria. I don't know how I found you. Me too. I don't know how I found you, baby. But I just know one thing. I want to be with you the rest of my life, and we're going to have a family together. Really? Really? We say crazy things in bed. Make crazy promises. The problem with that, again, once you say it, it's going to be difficult to take back. Difficult to take back. Suddenly you're not buying her everything or buying him everything. Suddenly you've just gotten tired because you just came from your job and you cleaning up him and washing and doing all this ironing and pressing and cooking the meals and all that, and he's watching video games or some football games. But you told him that. Before I got married to my former wife, you know how you always go to do your laundry? Men know this more than anything else, and you put everything in there, all the socks and everything, and when you put them in the dryer, there's always one missing. So my former wife said, when we get married, I'm going to fix this. In fact, we went to Sears, and they had these socks that clipped together. Wonderful. Except they didn't work. One would just clip away. And I was a man wearing black with 500 brown socks on the right foot. So I used to joke with her. I said, "Is this grounds for divorce?" I mean, because that was one of the promises that I always have. And I quickly decided against joking about it because she had that look. She had that look. Y'all know that look. If you don't stop, you may not wake up in the morning. But we make those. loneliness. But once you make those commitments, it's difficult to take back. Relationships are a series of compromises. And those compromises adjust through the years because we change through the years. In a good marriage, he gets a win, you compromise. She gets a win, he compromises. That's a marriage. And you change. What you liked when you first got married back in 1997, you don't like today. And so you it's time to come to the boardroom, go to the table and discuss, yeah, I know I said that, but I don't like that anymore. That's normal. And good relationships, particularly long-lasting ones, successful ones, learn to work through those. But it takes time. Doesn't happen in 6 months. Doesn't happen because you're two individual people. Yes, it feels good. Baby. But that's just a few minutes out of 24. In fact, some of you are not going to like what I'm about to say, but sex fades in a lot of marriages after a few years. It becomes routine. And then you add bills to that. See, when you were laying in bed, you weren't thinking about bills. You saw yourself frolicking in the field with your children at the site where you have a home with a white picket fence and you had minivans or nice SUVs. You weren't talking about bills, bracelets, kids, formulas, milk, grocery bills that go up and down by the year, gasoline costs, working extra hours to make the bills and not having enough money and wondering why you did it. You didn't feel that in bed. So this is the number one thing that people do in relationships that destroy them over time. Particularly when you are young and starting off. This mistake you make is you and your husband or you and your wife or you and your girlfriend or you and your boyfriend have a heated discussion and you are very angry. So instead of working it out, maybe you're unable to work it out at this moment, you go tell your parents, your mom. If it's a boy, he'll talk to his mother. If it's a girl, she'll talk to her dad. And the reason you go to your parents, because it's a place of comfort. You know, no matter what you did, no matter what you said and what was said about you, you know with your parents, maybe your siblings, that you're safe. The problem with that is you didn't marry or have a commitment with your parents. You had a commitment to your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife. That's who you have a commitment with. By sharing the stories with your family, you are damaging the relationship they have with your significant other. They just smile at you, but they will remember when you told them that he pushed you and you fell down the stairs. And some of these stories, they travel within the family. And so at the family barbecue, your husband feels something he feels a disturbance in the air. Because everybody on your side of the family don't like him. But you caused that. Or don't like your wife. Because you told your sister. And you just assumed she was going to keep it between us when she's never done that in your in your entire lives. And now everybody hates your wife. You did that. You make that happen. You put that all in motion. You did that. Again, I know why you did it, but it will damage your family over time. Your husband or your wife is just tired of feeling uncomfortable. And whenever you guys have conflict, you go to your parents instead of trying to work it out, one or both of you. You made that happen. Relationships take time. They're difficult. You have to discover what your boundaries are. You have to know how to talk to your spouse, your significant other. You have to be able to speak and listen. Speak, then listen. Listen, then speak. If you are unable to do that, to listen, he's listened to you or you've listened to her, but when someone else gets to speak, you go, I don't want to hear it. And you maybe you're better off single. Because everybody wants to be heard. And there's a time limit. You know that little song that say, I'm only human, of flesh and blood, a man or a woman. He wants to be heard. He or she is your spouse, and she wants to feel safe when she speaks to you. That's why it's sometimes better to wait a couple of years to get to know someone before you commit to a relationship, because sex clouds things. Not only does it distort your face, it also make you say things and think a certain way that you would not normally think if there was no sex involved. So if you have a marriage where you're running off to mommy or daddy, can't wait to tell your big brother or your little sister, instead of having a conversation in the boardroom, wherever that is in your house, with your spouse, and listen, receive it, and with respect, tell her, these are my issues. You may not work it out, but if you communicate effectively, through the day they'll think about it and process it. You may not get an immediate resolution then. That's marriage. Doesn't matter what color you are. Doesn't matter if you're straight or gay. Doesn't matter if you're different races. Compromise, respect, boundaries. Being able to work out problems as a couple. And you can't do that if you're including mommy, daddy, and everybody else. I know I keep saying that, particularly with young people, but older people do it too. So give that some thought. Meanwhile, this is a Rod Father, and I'd appreciate if you like, subscribe, follow, all those things. And I like, and I like when people disagree with me because I learn. If you can't listen to people and you can't take criticism, it limits your growth. It's not to be it's not to be taken personally. Sometimes it's difficult, but sometimes when you know this person and this person's saying, I disagree, or I felt a certain kind of way when you said that. Not always personal. That's how they felt. So this is a Rod Father wishing everybody love, joy, peace, and happiness. This is my long one for the first of the year. If you stayed in here, I appreciate it. And this is a Rod Father, cold in Sacramento. Night, night. Bye.